In a season of bullshit, more bullshit. This is the Arsenal Vision post-match podcast. My name is Elliot Smith. You can block me on Twitter at Yankee Gunner. And in a season of bullshit, more bullshit. I don't know what else to say about it other than that. Here with me now is Paul. Hello, Paul. Is that roughly how you see it?
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's killed my headline that I had prepared. You seem a lot larger than me, Elliot.
Well, I can assure you, having met you in person, that is an illusion.
I'm going to move closer. Oh, fuck. I'm going
to
lean in closer. There we go.
You know what? Here, what if I just do this, Paul? Is that better? Does that make you feel better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, that makes you feel better. Well, I would just say to everybody watching, thank you for being here. This is a free live instant reaction, and to patrons, I hope you'll forgive us, but it is fundraiser season. We are raising money for the Zatari refugee camp, and I think the goal here is just to give everybody a chance to come together for this, and then maybe also to give, if possible, tomorrow night. And I cannot emphasize this strongly enough. Tomorrow night we are giving away a ticket to the Real Madrid game on Tuesday. All right. We also have another one up for auction on the auction site. So both of those are available, but tomorrow we'll be drawing. And all you have to do to be entered to win a midfield Real Madrid ticket is give any amount. And any amount enters you to win. I do want to say an unbelievable start. We are 4 days into the launch of the fundraiser. 45,000, almost 500, 45,494 pounds raised, not to mention the 15,000 pounds over on the auction site by 619 of you who have given. So thank you so much for the incredible generosity. We are 30% of the way to our goal, and we have more to do. So many of you have donated, and I just want to send love and appreciation to all of you. I think the best thing we can do right now is get me off the show and introduce a special guest. I know him as Marty. You may know him as the captain of Arsenal Football Club, Martin Ødegaard.
Hi everyone listening to Arsenal Vision, it's Martin here. Please help us in fundraising for the Arsenal Foundation. You can support by donating via the Arsenal Vision podcast fundraiser. Your support means everything, so thank you so much.
Note to you and me, Elliot, do not make Martin Ødegaard our stock falling again.
Nope, not gonna do it. Would not be prudent at this juncture. Not gonna do that. Again, we're gonna move on to the football now. But if you can give, the children of the Zatari refugee camp could certainly use your help. We'll certainly appreciate your help, and I simply cannot emphasize strongly enough how much it will mean to them. I'm just blown away by the generosity. We'll add one more thing in here before we get started. How about that? And that is just a little bit of Arsenal spirit live from Zatari. No, that's not it. This is it. That is kids in a refugee camp cheering for Arsenal. What more do you need to know than to know what it means to them? Okay, let's get on to the pod itself, Paul. And I think the best thing I can say about this is that, I read a tweet that summarizes for me how I feel, which is basically we have normalized the idea that only scoring one goal is not acceptable because we should have to score the amount of goals necessary to overcome poor refereeing. And I think it's a shame because we built a tremendous defensive team. This game was 0.25 XG for Everton other than the penalty. And that should be fine to win 1-0. But we have normalized the idea that 1-0 is not an acceptable result because you have to do better than that to defend yourself from referees. So I'm just going to turn it over to you to give your headline because it sounds like your headline is related to refereeing. And so why don't you tell me what your headline is from Arsenal 1 or Everton 1, Arsenal 1?
It does sound like, wow, you are good. You are right, though. My headline is, where the fuck did they find that bozo?
You know who he is, by the way, right?
No, I
Same
don't.
guy on VAR who upheld the Miles Lewis Skelly red card. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw something on that. Unbelievable. Absolute. Yeah. And So there's a couple of different kinds of bad referees they have in the Premier League. There are the ones who carry themselves with an incredible air of confidence, where if you didn't know anything about the game or hadn't really watched what, you would think they were masters of the domain, that they were controlling and orchestrating the universe, and that, like, they're terrible. This guy's terrible, but he looks like he's terrible. He's like that. What do you call those support teachers who come in and, like, what's the American term for it? But they come into the class and, like, the class just railroads them. Absolutely knows the guy doesn't know what he's doing, hasn't a clue. He looks bewildered, befuddled. I mean, Everton made him look like an idiot. They fouled, they wrestled, whatever. The penalty, absolutely, I thought, the softness of the penalty matched the weakness of the refereeing. Just abysmal. And it's like...
Abysmal?
Yeah.
That is very much I got up at 6:30 a.m. to watch the game where you pulled out of your ass there.
Yeah, well, I got up at 6:30, but I went to bed at 5:30. Unfortunately, I've had 1 hour's sleep, so I'm pretty happy with that pronunciation. I'm glad Calafiore wasn't playing. I'm glad we haven't signed.
And you got his name right for the first time ever.
I'm glad he wasn't playing. It was abysmal. It's like, and I'm not a referee guy, right? You know that about me. I'm not big on wanting to talk about referees and decisions, and, like, it's just like this season. It's like the fucking zombie dead. You think you shot like 10 or 20 of them, and they keep fucking coming over the hill. They got one more. Don't know where the fuck they got this bozo from, but they seem to have a near infinite supply, despite tariffs.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if we put a 400% tariff on English referees, we'd fix what's wrong with the Premier League. I think it's, look, and by the way, it is fair to say that's poor defending from Miles Lewis-Skelly, right? Like, it's fine. He just feels like he's refereed differently, though. I think, you know, the red card obviously is an example. This is an example. It is now, I believe, 11 points that we have dropped due to controversial refereeing decisions. And that does
not... You were going to say due to Miles Lewis-Skelly. I was like, I was adding it up in my head. I'm like,
It feels a bit excessive. No, it is 11 points dropped due to controversial refereeing decisions. And by the way, that doesn't even include the impact of those refereeing decisions on subsequent games in terms of players missing, right? Like Saliba missing the Liverpool game, right? That kind of stuff. So it is just exhausting. And I think, you know, I think that I'm not going to make my headline about the referees, because I think we can have a little section about the referees here and we need a respite from it. But this season has been just piles of bullshit on top of piles of bullshit. And, like, the injury situation has been brutal. The refereeing situation has been brutal. And what I feel bad for is I feel bad for Mikel. I feel bad for the players, because, like, no one wants to hear excuses, even if they're honest explanations. And so when referees screw you over, when injuries screw you over, you still get evaluated based on where you finish in the league, based on where you finish in the cups, based on the results. You know, no one wants to hear that you had a makeshift back line for the last 15 minutes against Liverpool. No one wants to hear that you had to play with 10 men for a half at the Etihad. No one wants to hear that you had absurd penalties given against you against Brighton and Everton. They don't want to hear it. So when people evaluate the season, they're just going to say, you know, your goals weren't achieved. But Paul, it is exhausting. And I think a lot of people just wind up shaking their head. I saw someone in the Discord make a comment that I think was accurate, which is, I'd be more upset about the penalty decision if I had the energy to care. And I think the only good thing about this is with Madrid on Tuesday, I think a lot of people are able to shake this one off, because it just feels like it's not worth the energy to get too worked up about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's sad though, isn't it? I'm not saying it's wrong, or I'm just saying it is sad, because I'm the most resistant in principle to the idea that games don't matter. It's just like, I hate that shit. I don't sign up for it. I always think
that's a slippery slope. Yeah. If you start going down that road. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not a moral judgment. I'm just like, I don't want to go there. I don't like being there. So I'd prefer not to. Call it naive, Pollyanna-ish, but for me, they all matter to some regard. They have some importance. But, like, I saw a tweet on the internet which captured this game before it started about the lineup. and they said this was a with Tuesday in mind lineup, which, you know, you and I chatted before about this game, and I thought we'd play as strong a lineup as we could in terms of players who were fully fit, where there was no risk to the players. This wasn't really that at all, was it? This was with Tuesday in mind, and like fair play to the man. In fact, I thought he should have played or had Albert stand in for him as the manager. Really, really set it down as a marker that
rotate the manager too.
yeah, so that nobody can question whether we tried. Like, you know, this was an 80% effort, and whatever happens, happens. Of course, we were always going to want to win once the game started, and of course, we brought on the A team as the game went on, so that they would have the minutes in their legs and feel involved and feel, you know, that this was a team, a squad playing a game, not just a starting 11 with a couple of subs. So there was a logic there. It got Trossard out in the starting lineup. It gave us a look at Trossard as the false nine, which across two legs, who knows? It can't just be Marino all the time, right? So it did certain things for it. By putting out this lineup, it freed up the manager to do probably a couple of things. It wasn't just put out a team to get the game over with and like guys who deserved a bit of a run out. I'm sure he was trying. Look, Kivior was in the lineup, and I was advocating as Arsenal manager, anything but Kivior in your lineup against Real Madrid. So, I mean, I still thought Kivior was likely to start against Real Madrid, but there was a part of me that said, does he listen to our podcast, and would he play Kieran Tierney as left centre back? So, you know, there are certain things about this lineup for certain players that have meaning for Real Madrid, but mostly it was what do we need to do to rest the team to be fresh against for Tuesday? And so it kind of fits into the how badly should you feel about a game where the referee was shit and it came to pass.
I'll give you the definition of a flex, by the way. The kids call it a flex.
Okay.
Is Clive ducking the IR, then showing up in the chat and getting all the attention of everybody by being in the chat. Just has to be in the chat to get the attention. Yeah, he's a rock star. What can you say? Look, I think there's a few points here. First of all, from a stats standpoint, this is 14 shots to 4 and 1.83 XG to 0.25, 71% possession and 29% possession without the penalty. Okay, so that is a game you win 1-0. That is a game you have a right to expect to win. And I just think we have normalized the idea that 14 shots and 1.83 XG to 0.25 XG is not a good enough performance, is not an acceptable performance, because referees have led us to believe that. Now, I think there is some fairness to that, which is if you don't get a second goal, you can get varianced. That's football. But you don't always get the second goal. I watched a lot of football in midweek. Clive is saying, mate, I can join. Clive, you don't have to. But if you would like to join,
come on, Clive.
We would like you to join.
This is like when you pull Courtney Cox out of the crowd onto the stage with Bruce Springsteen, and she dances. What was that one? What was that song? Dancing in the Dark.
I don't know.
The video.
I don't know what the song is.
Before she was in Cheers, she's the girl he pulls out of the crowd. It's supposed to be like a girl who was in the crowd.
You've lost me, mate. You've lost me.
Really? It's famous.
I'm sure it is. In what year?
Well, I don't know. Whenever 1984.
Yeah.
Fuck you. 1984.
Okay.
Bruce
you know
Springsteen, born in the USA.
I think we move on here. I think we move on swiftly. Yeah, look, I do believe that we need to improve our attack, but I do think that defensively we were as solid as we needed to be, and we got the goal that I think our performance was just about worth. And I also think, Paul, isn't it fair to say everybody on that pitch for Arsenal knew there was Madrid on Tuesday? So we produced just about enough to win the game. And we should have had the 3 points. And like when you've got the Madrid tie on Tuesday and you picked a rotated lineup and you're mixing and matching the squad to try to manage your way to Tuesday, and you get your nose in front in a tough place to play against a team that's been pretty good lately, I think you got every right to expect to win that game. And it's been a season like this of just points being ripped away from us. That two things can be true. I know we play that card a lot on here, but it can be true that we need to be better as an attacking force and we need more talent. No, by the way, a lot of talent missing due to injury. But it is also true that you can win football matches 1-0, and that is never a penalty. Do you have a little frustration with the way it was defended? I mean, Kivior lets the ball go over him, and then Miles Lewis-Skelly gets a little handsy. I think in general, Miles Lewis-Skelly today, he had the one wonderful buccaneering run. But other than that, I think he needs to work on ball security just a little bit, some passes that are cut out in the center of the park, some losses of possession. We saw his one valid red card due to a loss of possession. So maybe just a little bit worth tightening up the details there. I know he's just 18.
He is just 18. And when you were saying two things can be true, my mind went to, that's not a fucking penalty. But MLS can handle himself better. That's not a position where you fall backwards into a player into the box. A more astute, as you Americans say, astute player, when he's 22, 23 and been doing this for a few years, that's not how he goes and looks for the foul that maybe he was entitled to. Like initially, maybe it was 50-50 and maybe he was a little bit more the 50-50 outside the box. But then that move kind of carries on and Tarkowski hooks him with his arm and pulls him back and MLS leans into it and look, I can't fully describe it in a satisfactory way, but he plays himself into a situation, falls into a situation that's a bit chaotic. And with a crap referee, and let's face it, it's always a crap referee, he allows the situation to occur. And I think two things can be true. It's not a bloody penalty, but a more astute left back doesn't find himself quite in that situation in that area of the box.
Yeah. And I mean, I gotta level with you. I've not been a big proponent of the AI revolution, but if AI and robots means we get rid of the PGMOL, then maybe we just have to get rid of the PGMOL. So I'm going to go with my headline, but before we do that, I know Tim has his thoughts on the game. So let's hear from Tim at Goodison Park now. I don't know what to tell you, Paul. That's as good as you can say it. Wouldn't
it
you
is,
agree?
and he backed me up on the Courtney Cox thing.
He did, which was surprising, given he didn't even hear it. You two were just on the same wavelength from the start. I'm gonna create a banner that's gonna trigger people. Are you okay with that? I'm gonna go with a headline
Love it.
that I don't think people are gonna like. Are you okay with that?
Give it to me.
I am the man for unpopular opinions. My headline: mission accomplished. We achieved exactly
Don't say
what
any
we
more,
needed to
Elliot.
achieve this game.
Yeah.
And actually, what I meant by mission accomplished, we got Clive to come on the pod. Hello, Clive.
Hello.
Clive!
What's that? What's that you say? Hang on. I feel like. Oh yeah, of course I can do that for you, Clive. I have
Do what?
problem.
No. Don't.
No. Perfect execution. It's absolutely perfect execution. Clive, but before I get back to my triggering headline, how upset are you on a scale of 1 to Darren England?
I'm just disappointed, really, because we all love the game, don't we? We all love football. We're all nuts about it. We think about it all the time, walking around, and then you get this bloke that just doesn't understand the game, and he's in charge of all of our emotions this weekend. And it just sort of like, oh mate, you know what? It doesn't matter as much as it did when when Declan Rice got sent off against Brighton, and when Trossard got sent off. It doesn't matter as much as it now as it did back then. But it almost, in some ways, makes me see it more clearly. I mean, to not even end the game properly just tells you
that was hilarious. Well, he, you know what I think it was? And then, Clive, can I get your take on this? Because my take is it may seem like no big deal that he blew up early, okay? But here's my take on it. I think it is a window into why he's weak as a ref. He didn't want to have to make a decision about the Leo kick. And he's like, I can get out of this by blowing up for full time, only to realize it's not full time. What do you think about that take?
You know what? Many years ago, when the African content was coming up in their standards, refereeing standards and playing standards, things like that would happen in other continents, and we would laugh at it, you know. And now, no, we're not laughing anymore, you know. And I always felt that the wider media, when Mikel Arteta said this is embarrassing, I think they misread him. He was saying everything is embarrassing. The technology, the people, the lack of strength, the lack of conviction. I mean, this week we've seen a situation where, well, we've seen a couple of absolutely extreme situations this season. Arteta having to walk around with something around his ear because he got his head kicked off, and the referee did not want to send the goalkeeper off. We just seen something which could have been a league decider when Tarkowski nearly breaks McAllister's leg. And there's nothing. Yet the technicalities and the ability are much easier to send people off for because it's in the rule book. So I can dive into that. I can't make a decision based on physical contact. I can't make that decision because that could go wrong and I could suffer. That means basically you're not strong enough. You're not saying what you see, you know, and that's what referees are there for. They're not there to worry about the impact. They're there to say what they see and act on it and make sure they protect players. On this penalty, all I saw was two players fighting for the ball, and neither of them had control of the ball. Neither of them had control of the duel. The duel started outside of the box. They go into the box. Miles lets go, and by letting go, he falls over. Harrison then falls over. He's trying to get up. He's not even appealing. And then they give the penalty. And it's because the crowd shouted. Well, for those of you who watch football in many different places, non-league grounds, Sunday morning grounds, sometimes a referee can shit himself when the crowd shouts. But I'm not expecting that to happen to a Premier League referee. You know, I mean, it just feels so weak because Everton were crap. They were absolutely rubbish. And everyone's saying it's a fair result. Well, I ain't seen a day yet. I didn't feel fair to me.
I just don't understand. I mean, if you look at the Liverpool-Everton game from just a couple of days ago, you know, this is similar. There were penalty shouts for Everton in that game that weren't penalties. They weren't given, and Liverpool get a 1-0, and everyone goes, oh, good, decent, fair result for the champions. We just have normalized the idea that 1-0 is not an acceptable scoreline because of the 11-plus points this season that we've been denied due to refereeing controversy. And Mikel Arteta has gone public with it. Quote, we conceded a penalty that, in my opinion, is not a penalty. And I am here to tell you, I agree. I agree 100%. Clive, do you mind if I go back to my headline, though, which I know people are going to hate? I know you like to be here when I do things people hate.
No.
You ready to ride shotgun for a terrible opinion that people hate?
Well, it's not. You make out as if we don't know you. We all know you. Just get on with it.
Yeah, all right. But this is a positive spin. Mission accomplished. That's my headline. Mission accomplished. We did everything in this game we needed to do. We're not going to win the title. We're not going to fall out of the top 4. We're going to finish second. Okay. We won this game fair and square, minus the referee. We didn't create as much as I'd like, but we played fine. But the mission of this game, try some things, get some minutes and legs, rotate and rest, be set up well for the Madrid tie. And that's exactly what we did. Kivior played, by his standards, I think, a good game. Ben White got time at right back. Timber got time at right back. We had a chance to get some minutes back into Bukayo Saka, 45 minutes today. Martinelli was rested just enough, came on, looked good, had that cut inside shot. That is vintage Martinelli. We did the things in this game we need to. We got to see a little of Declan Rice as the 6 in case we want to do that to protect the back 4 against Madrid. I don't. By the way, we rested Thomas Partey, right? We did the things today we needed to do and played well enough to win the game. So for me, minus Darren England, who has cost us multiple points this season, this is mission accomplished. And I have to give credit to Mikel Arteta because I didn't think he would manage this game with Madrid in mind. I've not seen him really do that before. He did it today. I think he did it right. I think he did it well enough to earn a win, and he has every right to be frustrated, but maybe a little frustration in our belly and a little anger in our belly going into Tuesday, not the end of the world. And we get PGMOL out of the picture, because European refs would never do anything to favor Real Madrid. So yeah, Clive, what's your take on my headline that this is a day where we accomplished the mission at hand, in my view?
Well, that was my headline. So
on the same wavelength. That speaks terribly for you.
No, every game. What do you learn? What do you discover? And we discovered some people today. So Ben White, I'm no longer worried about him. Right, so he's looking better. So that's a real positive.
Doesn't he look a lot leaner? Is that just me? He looks.
No, Paul, you're absolutely right. He's lost a bit of muscle in his lower body, and that's why I've been concerned about him. He looks better than he did when he first came back. So he's still building up the muscle. Of course, then Timber comes on and says, "Mate, I want to play against Madrid."
Yeah,
and he ran around like a crazy man. Right, so he's awesome, absolutely awesome. Steve, awesome. We discovered a bit of Kiwior, but I always say we keep it. Well, I like Kiwior's passing. I think he's incredible. But he has this thing. He has this thing where he puts on an invisible cloak and disappears at the critical moment, and you can't find him. You know. And on that goal, I spoke to some people in the crowd to say it's very, very windy, and looks as though they lost it in the sun and the wind. That ball, it disappeared. Now the thing is, we can never tell what happened. The shout is when you're there defending, it's over me. And then the covering defender comes round and deals with the ball. Now, Miles has a tendency to deal with the ball by shielding the ball, which you can do very easily in midfield. When you're the last man, then interpretation changes. Sometimes you just have to deal with the ball at its highest point, step into it, deal with it, bollock Kiwior afterwards for not giving him a clear enough shout, if that's what happened. But you deal with the ball and have a discussion afterwards. What you don't do, let the ball bounce, put your body in front of it, and then leave your afternoon in the eyes and the brain of Darren England. That's what you don't do. So that's a learning thing for him, though, isn't it? You right, Paul?
I mean, he is 18.
Not worried about him. Not worried about him at all.
And I will just say, I think there's a split of opinion about whether top 4 is an issue. Remember, first of all, 5 places for Champions League this season. I think we'll finish second. But whatever you think, Forest have tough fixtures ahead. Chelsea have tough fixtures ahead. City, whatever. Like, do any of the teams chasing us strike you as being in the kind of form where they're going to outplay us in the run-in? I think the idea.
Got Villa today, Elliot. Is it Villa?
Yeah. Is it today or tomorrow?
I think it's the 5:30 game.
Yeah,
mate. And Villa have got everything to push for. So of course they got a game in the week as well, mine. But there you go.
Yeah, a pretty big one themselves. But I would say yes, that's 5:30 today at Villa Park. Look, I guess what I'm trying to say is the idea that 4 other teams are going to get ahead of us in the next 7 games does not, to me, ring true at all. Everton are good. Goodison Park is a tough place to go, and we played for a 1-0 and we got a 1-1. So, I'm not going to overreact to that. I think it's mission accomplished. This was about setting up for Tuesday, and I will remind everybody, if you give to the fundraiser by Sunday night, any amount you give, you have a chance to be entered to win a center midfield club Real Madrid ticket. We're also auctioning a club level ticket for that game on the auction site. The information for the auction site is in the fundraiser page. But I know a lot of people have given generously. 619 people have given so far, 45,494 pounds before we started this. And all I can say is the Children's Zattery Camp appreciate this more than I could possibly convey. We have an episode out updating you on that program, so you can listen to that episode. It came out yesterday. Thank you so much for this. We love you for it. Back to the program now.
Can I just say something on that, Elliot?
Yeah, please.
I looked at the link today, and I look at the comments, and I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, of
and
course.
the people on there are just wonderful. You know, the words mean as much as the money. Do you know what I mean? The fact that they're there and they know what they're doing. I just want to say
The
thanks
togetherness,
to all of
yeah.
those people. I read the comments all the time, and it means a lot to me, and and it means a lot to all of us, no doubt. So thank you.
Yeah.
Can I
Paul,
clarify one point on that, Elliot?
Yeah, please.
So you win a ticket to play center midfield for
Center back.
Real Madrid.
Oh yeah, yes. If you are drawn, you have to start for Real Madrid.
Okay, we really should pick the worst player who listens to the podcast.
Yeah.
So you notice how Elliot said centre back, because despite Kivior getting man of the match, he's still after him. Do you know what I mean? He still wants him out.
Yeah.
Right? I've got him as my first, second, and third stock falling today, Clive. So there you go. No, okay. Hey,
with our luck, Kivior will win the ticket to play centre back. Jeez,
and then have the game of his life for Real Madrid. Hey, Paul, before we get Clive's headline, do you have any thoughts on the idea of mission accomplished? The idea that what we needed to do today, we functionally did.
I don't agree.
Okay.
But I don't have a hard, like a violent reaction to it. No, I think, I'm more of a winner than you are, Elliot. You don't mind.
I've always thought so.
Yeah. So I rail against that. So there's a part of me that's like, nah, it's not quite for me. I can't quite parcel it off like that. But not the end of the fucking world. I'll give you that much. And I think we need to come second. Not because it changes our positions in Europe. It's so that we again state our credentials as the second best team in the league. I don't think the fact that we could slide in at fourth and be totally fine and have one place below us as a cushion, it's like, I don't want those narratives. So it's important for this team to nail down second again this year and then go much stronger next year. So, anyway, that's no big reaction to it, but I can't warm to it fully, I'd have to say. But that's more of a winner. Yeah, no, you are. Everyone has always consistently said you are the winner, the standard bearer of the pod. Clive, between the two of us. With that having been clarified, do you want to give me your headline?
Do I need to do a headline?
Yeah, you do it quick if you want. Or you could just say Elliot's headline was perfect.Uld be your headline.
Elliot's headline was perfect, but I will say another draw. And despite us sort of explaining it away, which we can explain them all away. There's another draw in there. 11 draws this season. That's a lot. Whenever we start, I send you a message in Elliot saying we're a good side. I don't have this fear we're going to lose. You know what I mean? We're a good side, we're well structured, but I always have this fear we don't score early enough. And I have this fear that we don't score a second goal early enough. And that's where we are right now in our evolution, right? We don't look sharp, and that's 11 draws. That's a lot of points missing there. You know what I mean? Are you saying we need one more so we can match the Invincibles? Is that your point? Well, that tells you how much football's changed, right? Yeah. But 11 draws. And I think I heard on the TV in 7 of those games we were leading. So we have something to think about there. And that could just be by buying nice, shiny players that are brilliant and they match what we see on YouTube. That could be part of it. But part of it is also, I do think we do some dumb stuff on occasions and we get punished maximum. That's what it feels like this year. And so despite us all loving the team and loving the club, etc., you have to say what you see. And what I see is sometimes we just have these moments where we knock off, and Fulham away, battering them. Don't do something right. Bang, bottom corner. Flipping hell. We have to come back into that game. Miss a chance. What about Villa at home? 2-0 up to 2-2 draw. Yeah. We just got to wise up. Maybe that's my headline. We need to be more streetwise, And I think, we play Madrid in a week. Now, when Trossard runs through against Tarkowski, who was really chugging a caravan behind him, and he tries to slash at Trossard's legs, street smarts means you go down, get the penalty 2-0.
Yep.
And that's the end of it. We have to wise up about where we are. The referees are crap. We know that. We know that. They're actually getting worse. That's a worry for all of us, right? But then what can we do? We just be a bit wiser, a bit smarter, and focus, because that's a lot of draws. That is a lot of draws.
Yeah. I would say also, Paul, that we should learn a lesson here from Clive, which is he's gone with a headline that literally no one can disagree with, because it is, in fact, another draw. There is absolutely no debating that. So he's beyond debate on this one. He has gone for the factually accurate headline, but you had a reaction to it, it seems like.
Yeah, I'd forgotten what I was going to say. It's been so long, but I think it came back to me, which is in all of what Clive's, I don't know how it links to what Clive was saying, but it does, because I've forgotten the bit it links to. The bit where we were a goal up and we have Kivior and Miles Lewis-Skelly, great young player, and how soft it was for a team to get another goal against us. Now, it wasn't a penalty, but we definitely had softness in that area of the pitch that a better team would have punished us more directly with. And if that's our, we've seen this we've seen this one other time where the softness down that side meant a team could run at us. And if that's our lineup against Real Madrid, which it likely is, that was my concern watching this going forward. If it's Kivior and Miles Lewis-Skelly, despite the fact that I think Miles Lewis-Skelly is a phenomenal talent, we've got big issues down that side, and that's what I take out of this game substantially going forward. I really wish Mikel had tried something else out in that corner of the pitch this game.
Clive, agree? Disagree?
I went with Kieran Tierney because I'm like, well, what could I try? Try Kieran Tierney as the left centre back. Obviously, you could have played Ben White and Timber as right back and centre back, but I think we were worried about would they all be fit and would they be fit enough to play and could they play 90 minutes, and probably they can't. But I'd be looking for something other than Kivior against Raya. Like I think you give up. That's what I say. Here's my quitter's position, because I'm a quitter, not like you, Elliot. I think if it's Kivior across two legs against Real Madrid, I think we're screwed, guys.
Yeah, look, whatever you think of how he performed today, he's our, whatever you want to say, fourth or fifth choice center back, and I think he's probably worth a goal for Madrid, because I think he is a player who I think has this kind of performance when I watch him. 95% good, handles the situation, passes well. He had some great long balls today, by the way, to send him behind. But there's one moment a game where he lets the situation handle him, and that usually costs us. It costs us against Bayern. It costs us against Fulham. So I understand your
and I agree with you. I think he had a good game. But I also saw the thing that means I know Real Madrid are going to kill us.
Well, I mean, so let's just ask it, Clive. I think you could, based on fitness now, play Ben White at right center back and move Saliba to left center back and start Timber, or play Timber at left center back and Ben White at right back. I don't know that I want Ben White 1v1 against Vinny. I'd prefer to keep Timber there and let Ben White play center back. But, I mean, Kivior did get man of the match in this game, whatever you think of it. So Mikel has been a next man up guy. What would you do?
Well, I would play Timber right back, Saliba, Kivior, and Miles Lewis-Skelly.
Okay.
Yeah, because and trust the players to do their job, right? So I'd like to see the communication between Kivior and Miles to be sharper, right? But I will tell them that, right? So fix up, boys. Talk to each other, right? So tell them when to defend narrow, tell them when to spin and when to invert. I thought our left hand side was offensively was better than our right hand side in the game. And so I thought we did some really good stuff. We sprung into that side really, really well. So there's a plus side to it. My mind is different on this. Obviously, when fear grabs you, and we're playing Real Madrid with four of the best forwards in the world, right? So the fear grabs you. So your mind goes straight to the last thing that we have, which is our defense. And we've lost our best defender and our top communicator and the leader of the back line. He's gone. So anybody else coming in is not going to be as good. So we have to accept that, right? But for me, what I really want to see is our attackers be sharper and better. Because to beat Real Madrid, we're going to have to score maybe 3 goals over the 2 legs. And so that's the key for me. That Ødegaard is back. That Saka looks a bit better. If you look at Saka closely, he'd done his hamstring twice early in the season, and they were all on right foot crosses. And if you'd notice, he's not going to his right-hand side. He's very left foot centric. Everything is left foot. And we all know he can do his step over, go right-hand side. And that's how he done his hamstring both times. Did it for England, did it for Arsenal at Palace. And so I want to see him get his tippy toes back and start to dance either side. Martinelli's on his way back. Whatever we do at centre forward, I was really quite impressed with Trossard's role today. You know, I thought he was really floaty and all around. I think he has a role over these 2 games. I'm not sure which one, but he has a role to play. I thought that's the best false 90 play he's done for a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
And so yeah, that's why I see it. You know, Kiwior is I think he's a really fine player. And I compare him to Joe Gomez. I think he's better than Joe Gomez, right? And that's Liverpool's first man up to come into central defence. I think he's better than Quansah. He's had a tough season this season. And that's how you got to judge him. Don't judge him to Gabriel because he's going to fail, right? Yeah. Only Van Dijk can deal with Gabriel on the left-hand side defender. And so I'm just hopeful he can focus and concentrate. And I thought he had a really good game today, you know, and we have to say it, you know. Am I worried? Absolutely am I worried. Am I worried he's going to do something? Of course I am. And let's see what we do. But your solution, Elliot, to move people around is a great solution based on how we feel about those players, you know, but we've never seen them on those sides of the pitch together.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? So we have no reference point to work from.
Yeah, for me, it is a simple question of, do you want to put the best talent back 4 out there or the most in position back 4? You know what I mean? And that is a question, because look, no one's going to sit here and say that Kiwior is better than Ben White or Jurrien Timber. I don't think anyone believes that. But is he a better left center back? And is Saliba better staying at right center back? And I think you can make an argument for that. Then you have the question of communication. Is Kiwior, who is naturally a left-sided defender, going to communicate with Miles Lewis-Skelly and have an understanding with Miles Lewis-Skelly that is better than out of position other players? I don't know. We'll see. Mikel's got to figure that out. Thankfully, we don't. I'm inclined to trust whatever decision he goes with. Let's hit some quick stock rising, stock fallings as we are nearing the 45-minute mark. And we'll do these quick. This is going to be a speed round for these. So, Paul, you got a stock rising for me?
Yeah, Trossard. I'll go with Trossard.
Yeah, I like that. I like that shout for sure. Yeah, I mean, he scored.
He reminded us.
Yep.
Yeah, he reminded us that he's an option there. Do we want to play Mikel Merino for 180 minutes? We might keep him on the pitch for 180 minutes, but do we want him as the only option for false 9, especially or for the 9, in fact? Is he really a false 9, Merino? Probably not. He just plays the 9 like Giroud might. And over 180 minutes plus extra time in the second leg, another 30 minutes. That's what's that? 210 minutes, and it goes to penalties. Do you want Mikel Merino to be your only option at centre forward? Maybe you mix it all around and you want Trossard in the middle. And so I think he's done himself a lot of good in this game to remind Mikel that he's an option in a couple of positions. Especially if you get the feeling that Martinelli was been warmed up to be a starter, then it keeps Trossard very much involved in the mix and reminding himself that he has a few roles he can play for this team over the next 2 legs. He was really good. He was busy. He was at it. He was a bit chippy. Scores his goal. He looks like he's a bit pissed off with the world, a bit angry.
He always does. He always looks tired and pissed off, which fair enough. I'm tired. I feel pretty.
And maybe he's pissed off because he's in advance for not getting the start against Real Madrid. I don't know what he's pissed, but he's pissed off about something. But maybe he needs a bit of that. Maybe we need angry Trossard. I thought he was really good, buzzing around the place. Yeah, getting stuck in, chippy.
That's your speed round. Well, Clive, who's your stock rising?
We've we spoke a lot about Kieran, so I'll give it a miss. So I'll go Mikel Merino, actually.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
I thought he was. He's really grown on me. And again, I say it many times in the podcast. I think he's fit now. You see a difference when he's fit. He's just getting around the pitch. He's got
being
good
centre
ability.
forward has really had him running his legs off. So that's
I saw it. In the last game, I read for Adrian Clark did some great performance data stuff because he got access to that working with the Premier League, and he said that basically he made the most pressures in the last game, and he did that in the Chelsea game as well. In the Chelsea game, because they turned us around, I could see it coming towards us in the first half. I couldn't believe it. I thought, when's he gonna run out of puff? What's going on? Remember the Bournemouth game? He's in the front two press, Bournemouth away. We all laughed at it, didn't we? We all thought, what the hell's going on? What's Mikel doing? But actually, by playing up front, it's been like a pre-season for him, and now he looks like a player, mate. He looks like a player.
Yep.
And the lads, you can see the lads, they're relying on him. He's getting around the ball, he's controlling the referees, controlling tempo. I thought the team selection was really quite smart to have the taller players at the base of your team and have the smaller players springing into space and running against Tarkowski, which I thought was a very good selection from the manager. And we played almost like a mini transition. They went long, we won it and sprung. Do you know what I mean? And to win it, you got to have Rice and Marino quite close together alongside Kivio and Saliba. And suddenly, with Ben White, we had quite a tall 5 players and we could deal with them. I thought that's a really good selection. And and I thought I thought Marino, some people told me I say Mourinho. Marino, I thought he was really, really good. Got hurt in the warm-up, got hurt early on with a ball in the face, got a cut on the head, and he still could have scored the winner with that header that flashed the wrong side. And I thought he was excellent. And he's been a positive this season. I didn't think I'd say that at Christmas. So yeah.
No, I mean, I agree. I think this was a really good game from him. My question for you, Clive, is very simple. Do you expect him to start at center forward against Madrid?
You know what? Before the game, I'd have said 99% yes. And I'd say yes. I think he will start against Madrid. But that doesn't, I'm not bothered about that. Right? I'm bothered about the phases of game. Right. So what Trossard shown in that game was that we can spring. So if we in a situation where we're 1 goal up and we need to solidify things and have faster players in top end of the pitch, then we do that. Right. So I think it's going to be a game of chess. I think playing to what we already know, our normal structure with a central focal point would be the right thing to do. But also, I'm going to argue myself now and say this is Europe. Right, and in Europe, it's a non-contact game. It's a passing game to control the tempo, control the moments, control momentums, and so But I think Marino, we're playing Real Madrid. This is not something that he's bothered about. So you've got the Spanish guy that plays won the Euros for Spain, played Madrid many times in their stadium. He's not bothered. We're bothered because we're shitting ourselves because it's Real Madrid, right? He's not bothered. I don't think you take that player out of the team. So I think he plays. And I think he plays at centre forward. But the way we play centre forward, Martinelli's a centre forward, and that's why he got the rest. And that's what we've got to remember. Every position, Martinelli will be the highest on the right back. Reno and Ødegaard next together, and Saka creating on the other side. That's what we're going to do. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. I'm going to have to come up with a stock rising. And there aren't a lot that I want to pick. To your point, we've talked about Kivior enough in this episode. So I'm going to go with Martinelli. I know it's very, very minimal to go on, but I just think it's a second game where we can confirm he looks a little bit more like what we think of him as being. That instinctive first instinct, burst to the inside and shot. We just haven't seen that from Martinelli in ages.
It's excellent.
And it was excellent. And another game that goes in, he is doing things first time now. He created the shot for himself, which is something he's not doing enough of. And this is consecutive games now where I think he's looked a little bit more like what we expect of him. And I think maybe he understood I need to earn a spot to start against Real Madrid in the Champions League. And maybe that's lit a fire. I don't know. But I think he's certainly earned it. I mean, I think Leo played great in this game too, and this shows you what a little competition can do. But I don't know, Paul. I think, I accept it's just a cameo. You don't want to go too big on it. But for me, what we've seen from Martinelli this game and last game has been good.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's at it. I think he's licking his lips. I think Real Madrid always give you a bit of a look defensively. They kind of have that slightly confident, relaxed, we'll get the ball back from you eventually and play through you kind of vibe, which to Clive's point means from an attacking standpoint, score your goals. You're going to need them. And I think Martinelli might ironically find himself in situations against Real Madrid that he would absolutely love to be getting in the Premier League. And I think he's done himself a lot of good service over the last couple of games with his starts or his minutes in this particular, his I guess he started the second half and he took advantage. That's a nice piece of time, right? 45 minutes, you know the job, you know you're coming out. It's a different look from the guy they've been facing. So, he's looked good in his two what I would call starts in the last couple of games. And yeah, I think it'd be hard for Mikel not to start Martinelli against Madrid.
Yeah, well said. Clive, final thought on that?
Excuse me, sorry. Martinelli, yeah, top. Yeah, really good. He's confident. When you see him slow down, speed up, and play with gears, and start to flick the ball to one foot to the other, there's nothing to see here. When he took that shot, that sort of venom, that wasn't a shot trying to hit target. That's a shot to score. Yeah, and that's the difference. Yeah, when you're having a bit of rough time, you're trying to hit the target and see what happens. No, mate, he's hit that to score, and goalkeeper made a great save. He looks good. And I definitely think he's got a massive role to play in both these legs, right, to really stretch them out. Madrid haven't got a right back. They've got Freddy Valverde, who's a very, very good player, coming towards you. I haven't got a good vision of him running backwards consistently. So we have to go into that space and really hold them back in that area. So I think he's got a major point to play. I think he must be sick of seeing all the YouTube comps of Nico Williams flying around Twitter, right? He decided to shape up. And he needs to, because he's a senior player in our squad. He may look young, but he's on senior players' wages. So he needs to step up, keep fit, and we need to make sure we got another player into that wide player group that allows him to stay fit for maybe a bit longer.
Yeah.
And if I can add, Elliot, the other thing that gives him a dimension is we've seen Tierney come on a couple of times now and add something to the game defensively, but also attacking wise. And him and Martinelli kind of have an understanding. It allows Martinelli to peel inside, make some interesting runs, and for Tierney to whiz in a low cross or vice versa. They find each other quite well. They have a lot of experience playing together. So it can open up that channel with him being a right footer and Tierney being the left footer to do interesting things, say, later in the game. I'm not saying starting Tierney, but, you got Martinelli on the pitch and Mikel looks at the bench and he wants another attacking option. Well, actually, he can change what Martinelli does against Real Madrid by bringing Tierney on and having different runs and patterns in that area after 70 minutes.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I wanted to ask you about that. So, Clive, I'll ask you. I had Tierney as a potential stock rising. This is a player I thought wouldn't play a minute this season and thought would probably be gone by this point of the season. But I think he's put himself in the frame to have a role to play, even potentially in this tie. So any thoughts about that?
Yeah, he's fine. He plays in straight lines. I thought if you looked at it, he was on the same line as Martinelli too much for me, but I'm just being picky. It doesn't really matter. He creates relationships with players. He gives them the ball on time. And when there's a chance to cross it, he crosses it. I think he did play one really nice inside pass, I believe, first time, which was really quite nice. Funny enough, he's about to walk out for free and he finally looks like an Arsenal player.
Yeah, well, staying fit, right? I mean, that's a big part of it too, yeah.
Yeah, he's just had that hamstring issue and he can't take compressed games. He can't play every 3 days. That's the main issue for him at the highest level. But yeah, nothing to see here. He's a fine player, but we've moved on, shall we say? It doesn't mean that he's unusable. He's very usable, and you can see a period in this tie coming up when we are going to have a 5 in defence. It's going to happen, right? And he's the perfect sort of outside guy, you know, on the furthest out. I know he plays sometimes as a centre half for Scotland, Paul, but I watch them games, mate. He's not really doing that. Him and Robertson are sort of overlapping each other. So he's not heading out of his box, son. I tell you that. And so I prefer him on the outside still, because that's where I think he's at his best. So yeah, fair play to him.
Yeah,
I will say, by the way, on him, I hear inside the club that he is really loved and respected. You know, really loved by everybody, by the way he behaves, the way he trains, the way he supports people when he's not playing. He could have gone. Obviously, people have got injured. I know. Look at the players that have got injured that have stopped him going back to his hometown club in January, and he took it on the chin, and he's just doing the business and never moans. And everyone's saying, why is Zinchenko not playing? I sometimes think a manager says, you know what, you've done a lot for me. I need to pay you back by giving you some time on the pitch. And that's the unseen things of football where you have to treat someone with respect. And I've got a lot of respect for Kieran Tierney, that's for sure.
I'm really glad that when we do the main pod Monday, we will talk mostly about Madrid, because I don't know that I have the energy left to have an entire discussion again about the incompetence of PGMOL. But the only stock falling today is Darren England and the PGMOL.
Liverpool supporting Darren England, is that right?
That is
I
correct.
believe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was the guy that did not turn away. Sorry, you're going to say it. You go ahead, mate. Go.
Nope. You go.
No, he was the guy on bar for the Miles Lewis Kelly thing, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So you're going to say it, and it's like, what? I don't want to go.
You know what's a shame? But you know what's a shame, Clive? That we all know that.
Yeah.
That we all know that. Like, that's too much of this season has been everybody knowing this shit. And I'll tell you something. When this shit happens, sometimes I look around social media for the non-Arsenal accounts to just be like, am I totally in my own bubble? And when Mark Goldbridge is tweeting out or posting out, that's absolute nonsense bullshit, and other people are too, you know, it's just not right. It's just not right. So it is. Do
you remember when Miles got sent off against Wolves?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a furore that came from everybody. And we sort of took some indirect stick for that, even though we were silent in the club, didn't say a word, right? So, but that label is now stuck to him. And we spoke about it, didn't we? Labeling. We said, like, wait, and we tried to dismiss it. But here we are. In his short career, he's had sending off that got rescinded, another sending off. And now there's no benefit of the doubt on the 50-50 tussle start outside the box. It's just like, bang, penalty. It's like, that labelling, it does stick. It does stick, you know, and it's a real concern. He's 18-year-old England international, and we all know he's going to have to watch his step now. That's a shame, isn't it?
Last point. We're not going to do stock falling today. I just don't have the energy for it. I don't think there's really anybody we need to talk about. So it's not, but I did want to just ask you quickly, both of you guys. Well, Paul, let me start with you very quickly. Are you starting to be a little bit worried about how Raya approaches these penalties? Another early dive. Like, I mean, look, I don't know if you offered me a penalty shootout with Madrid right now. I don't know if I'd take it. I probably wouldn't. Honestly, I don't want to be in a penalty shootout with Real Madrid, but like, does someone need to have a word with him about how he approaches the penalty situation?
Yeah, he moves too quickly. He's gone before the guy takes the shot, which is, I mean, that's okay sometimes if you know something about the striker, but he does it on every player who's taking a penalty against him. So now anybody taking a penalty knows he's going to go. He's going to commit himself. So that's information to the penalty taker. And, you know, it doesn't help that he's always guessing wrong these days. So, yeah. I mean, is it a concern to me? No, because there's very few penalties against us, apart from the fact that we're playing Real Madrid.
We never give away penalties.
Well, we don't give away too many, so wouldn't know. But the fact that we may end up in a penalty, you know, if things go well, we end up in a penalty shootout at the Bernabeu. So that's if things go well.
Yeah. So I tell you what he's doing, right, Elliot?
Yeah.
What he's doing when they're doing the run up, and the player looks down at the ball in the final step, then he chooses the side and he goes early. Right. So now, if said player gets his head up and doesn't look at the ball before contact, he's in a bit of trouble. You know what I mean? Because he'll be by the corner flag and he just pass it the other side, right? So it's his technique, and when he saves it, we'll all love it. But Harry Kane called it. He said, "I do a step delay now because and I have a look at him," and he called it. And for me, you have to change. If Harry Kane's doing that in the interview, you've got to change what you're doing, right? So,
I wonder, do you think that's Inaki Kana saying to him, like, "Hey, gamble early, you'll save one eventually because someone won't look up, and you know what is that Kana? You think
that's his technique? It's his technique, right?
Because he didn't.
And when he was saving them, I don't know.
Really?
When he was saving them, we don't question the technique, right? So yeah,
I know a bunch of players who will have the tendency to look up before they put it in the net. Real Madrid.
Yeah, well, I mean, what are we even worried about here? What are we even worried about?
It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm not worried. That's the one thing you can count on with me. You know, I'm not worried. Well, look, I think that just about covers it. But I do think we need to, at a minimum, first of all, bring in one more special guest.
Hi everyone listening to Arsenal Vision, it's Martin here. Please help us in fundraising for the Arsenal Foundation. You can support by donating via the Arsenal Vision podcast fundraiser. Your support means everything, so thank you so much.
A man you've spoken to personally, Clive, so you know that voice well.
He was a bit fatter then.
Fatter, I don't think is what you mean.
Hey, Clive, were you impressed with us last time out when we gave him the stock falling?
Yeah,
right after the video.
After the video, yeah, I saw one of the comments saying Ødegaard shooting to stop falling, and mate, to kick the ball against your standing foot is not really a technique that you want to be teaching people. But it's what it is. He'll come back, and yeah, he got a rest, right? So let's see how we go.
6 of you have donated just in the time we've been on this instant reaction, which obviously is awesome. We love you. We are drawing a midfield ticket for the Real Madrid tie tomorrow night, Sunday night. So if you donate anything, you are eligible. If you go to that page, justgiving.com/page/AVP2025, we are going to have an auction site link you can go to where you can just bid or buy now a Real Madrid ticket. We're also going to get a Bournemouth ticket on there as well. Thank you to everyone who has given. I cannot emphasize enough. Let's hear from some people who, for whom this means the world. I am telling you, when you see the Arsenal badge in that place and the love people have for Arsenal in that place and the work that is being done, it will bring you to tears. It is a proud moment. Thank you, everyone who has participated. We love you for doing it. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, contact@arsenalvisionpodcast.com. Happy to talk to you about it. I think we can leave it there. Paul, thank you very much.
Woohoo!
Thanks, Clive.
Thank you very much.
See, this is what happens. You post in the chat, and we drag you on the
no,
pod.
No worries. I just didn't fancy going to watch the game I was going to watch. So there you go.
Yeah,
Elliot, important announcement before you wrap up here. I'm going to, when you release the video or the podcast on Twitter, I'll put in the reply the Courtney Cox coming on stage with Bruce Springsteen video.
When you started talking, I knew it was going to be important, and you didn't disappoint. My name's Elliot Smith. You can block me everywhere. You know where. We love you so much. Yeah, just so much, and cannot thank you enough for being wonderful. Real Madrid on Tuesday. We'll have the Real Madrid view on the pod coming in the next couple of days. We'll have main pod on Monday, so plenty still to do before that, and hopefully an ebullient, a joyous instant reaction at full time of that one. Thank you, everybody. We love you. This is going to be an interesting outro. Am I even going to say it? Do I even have the guts to say it? Damn right.
Let's say it.
We will talk to you after Arsenal 10, Real Madrid 0.